Okay. Today we will be discussing about how to restrict a specific user to specific jobs as such. Here we will be discussing about the creation of new roles, and based on these roles we will be assigning a user to a specific role as such. For that we need to depend upon the security. Okay. Before going to that, let us create a couple of other users also, like so that we can understand how to restrict them and how to change them based on the requirement. Okay. Right now, I have only two users, one with name Deepak, one with name Harsha. I am creating a new user. Okay. Developer. Same password, same password. And creating a one more user like tester. Yeah. Now you understood, right? Suppose in an organization there are few teams, like I'm individually taking the role as a user, but instead of that, you can take individual users and assign to a specific group as such. For now, I'm taking an individual user as a developer. But suppose there is one developer in a team, and also there is some tester in a team. Right now, Deepak and Harsha are few of the admins which we have in our team. Okay. So Deepak and Harsha will have access to the complete administration, whereas developer we need to restrict to only specific jobs only, whereas tester will be having access to it to the test jobs. So for that we need to have corresponding jobs and how to restrict them. We will be seeing it today. Okay. So let's go here. I have created one job like test login. Like how to create job is something like we need to go over here and select a freestyle project. This is basically a sample one, and inside it let's give a name like Java application and say okay. Here we will be having multiple options which we can build upon. Let's leave it as it is and try to create a sample project without anything. Let's apply, save it. So there is one Java app project that is created, and similarly I have created a project for test login. Another one, I will create another project for testing people. Test app freestyle project, and I said okay. Now what I will do is something like I will create a test role, and for the test role they can only see test app and test login. These are like tester projects, like tester pipelines and tester jobs. Whereas if you are a developer, you can only see Java application pipelines or corresponding jobs corresponding to the Java app. In this way, today I will try to restrict and create the users and also the roles, and I will show you how to do it. Okay. Hope you got the scenario, what I'm trying to do. Now, first of all, in order to configure on all these things, we need to check whether we have the role applied or not. So there is a plugin, something like role-based strategy. We need to install that plugin. First of all, let's check whether the plugin is already installed. If it is not installed, you need to install that plugin. Okay. So I already installed this plugin, role-based authorization strategy. You already know how to, if it is not installed in your mission, like you already know how to install it, right? So you need to go to available, check for role-based plugin and select that corresponding one and download and install after restart. Do that, and after that it will be in the installed state. Right now we have already installed this plugin, role-based authorization strategy. So basically using this plugin, we will be creating multiple roles and assign to the corresponding user as such. Okay, that's what we are trying to do. Let's go back. We have already have the plugin installed. Then let's go to manage Jenkins and security. If you just see the security, first of all, the first option is something like it is showing configure global security, right? And nowhere it is mentioned create roles or something like that here. If you see in the other sections, nowhere it is mentioned create any users or groups or here. Let's try it. There is only one section like manage users. There is nowhere it is mentioned that manage roles or something like that. Let's see whether we can enable that option after going into the global security. Let's go to global security. And first of all, we see authentication and authorization. So let's go to authorization. So right now we have selected the authorization mechanism like logged in users can do anything. Okay. But we have installed one plugin like role-based strategy, right? Let's try to add that role-based strategy for authorization and try to apply it and see what happens. Once you enable that role-based strategy, there is one more option that has been created over here, manage and assign roles. Initially, if you remember, manage and assign roles are not there. There used to be remaining option, but except this one. As we have selected role-based strategy, now we have got the option of manage and assign roles. Let's go inside and try to create few roles over here. Okay. Let's go to manage roles first. Right now, there is only one role that has been created. That is something like admin, which has overall access. Right? It can do anything with that admin role. My user is an admin role. My user is an admin and it can do anything. Right now, let's create another role like employee and add it. In my employee role, I can only read the overall things and also I can have the permissions to run that job. And also let's try to give a permission to view that job as well. So this is the one thing I have added. And also individual item roles can be also given. So in this individual item roles, what I'm trying to do is something like, let's try to create a developer role. So in this developer role, in this employee, we will be having a developer and also a tester, right? Let's try to create a item role of developer and the pattern will be in the format of if a job consists of Java .star, any user that is assigned to this developer role only will see this kind of jobs, which starts with Java. Okay, let's add it. And try to add a new role. What is the new role? Tester. If any job that starts with test as a name, the tester has to see it. Let's add it. Here we can restrict few things and not to restrict few things. Right now I'm giving all the permissions to the tester role, which has a pattern test. Now I'm saving and applying these changes. Let's go back whether they are persistent or not. They are persistent. I have created an employee as a role, as a global role, and I have given only read permissions and also few run and view permissions for that corresponding role. Similarly, I have created an item role. Like if you are assigned to a developer role, if the job consists of Java as a pattern initially, then you can only view those kind of jobs. If you are assigned to a tester role, if you have test as a pattern initially, then you can view only those kind of roles. Let's go back and assign the corresponding roles. Okay. And before that, let's go to manage Jenkins and let's remember what are the roles users that we have created. One is something like developer, one is something like a tester. There are two roles that we have created. Let's go back and try to assign correspondingly. Manage Jenkins, manage and assign roles. Right now we have created the manage roles. Now we are assigning those roles which we have created. Okay. Right now we see only single user like Deepak, which I have logged in. Let's add the developer role also here. What is the next one? Tester, I think. TST. That is a user which I have created, right? If I try to add some role which is not created, let's see what happens. This user is not there, I haven't created a user with the name test, right? That's why it is showing like this user doesn't exist and there is a strike through across that user. So in this way, if you try to user which is not created already, it will be showing in the strike through. But these developer and tester users are created initially, right? So we are able to see these kind of users. If some new user is added, which without being created, it will be showing this kind of option, like strike through will happen in between. Okay. Any questions till now? Fine.
Is it any case sensitive kind of a thing, sir?
Definitely it is case sensitive. Okay. And next thing is something like developer and tester, right? Let's try to assign, instead of admin like having access to an entire thing, like let's try to give access to employee role. So employee role has only read access and also few run access as well, not all the admin access to delete and everything. So for developer and tester, we have given the admin role, sorry, employee role, and let's go to item roles. For similarly, for the same developer. Add. For the user developer, we are assigning the role developer. For similarly, the role tester, right? Another user is something like tester. Let's try to add it. For the role tester, we have assigned this one tester as a role. And save and apply. Let's go to assign roles and see back, like these are persistent. We added it properly. So what is anonymous? Like if you are not logged in with any of the users and passwords, whether you can able to see these jobs or not. So right now, if you are logged in without any user and password, I'm not showing any of the jobs to them. That is what I'm trying to configure here. Like I just don't want anonymous logins to happen. Okay. So let's go to the dashboard. Right now we have around 4 to 5 jobs. Nothing has been configured over here. Like these are like sample jobs that I have created. Java app for the development people, for test app for the testing people. Okay, test app and test login. Suppose if our main goal is something like if you are logging with the test user, you should see only test app and test login. If you logged in with the developer, then you need to see Java app only. That is what our goal is. Let's see whether it is happening or not. What are our users? Okay, developer and test. Let's log out. Let's go with the test. See, now you have logged into the test user using the tester credentials. So what happens now? You are only seeing test app and test login. Okay, and you are not the admin for this user, right? So if you are not the admin for the user, what is happening is something like you don't have the option to manage Jenkins. If you are only admin, then only we will get the option of manage Jenkins, right? Now you are not the admin for this project, for this Jenkins. That's why you're not able to manage this Jenkins also. And also there is no option that is given for you to create a new job as well. You can run only the existing jobs. Like if something is configured, you can build it. Inside nothing has been configured, okay? So you can build this job, you can run this job, that's it. Otherwise, you cannot create a new job also with the corresponding permissions which we got with the tester user. Similarly, let's go to other one, developer. DVL. So inside the developer also, you're not the admin for this project. That's why you're not seeing any admin roles like manage Jenkins or something like that. And but you have only the same options, like you can build this project, you can configure this project. Inside the configure project, you can go to any of the build option, execute shell, echo. Here we got the option of configuring the Java project or whatever it is. So we can, as an user, we can log into our corresponding project and corresponding job, which is already created, and we can update that as well. Let's try build now. So it is trying to print the echo statement. Like if you want to build some Maven projects on top of this application or on top of this job, we can perform the corresponding actions as such. In this way, we are restricting a specific user using a specific role to specific jobs as such. So do you people have any questions? Let's go to our admin credentials like Harsha. Okay, I think Deepak is admin. Okay. So if you are the master or the admin for the complete Git, then you have access to create a new item. Like you can create a new pipeline, and also you can create a new freestyle job or a folder and everything. And similarly, you have access to manage Jenkins and everything. But when we have created, we have only created users like developers and testers with minimum permissions to them. We haven't given permissions to create a new job for them. And also we haven't given the permissions to manage Jenkins. Where we have restricted, let's again see it. Let's go back to manage credentials, manage roles. If you remember, we have only given options to read that, right? We haven't given the option for the administrator or create or delete. That is why we are not able to create a new job. We don't get the option of new item job over there. We haven't got the option of manage Jenkins over there in the new user. Similarly, why we got the option to run that job? Because in the run section, we have given the option like to configure, run and everything. That is why we are able to run those test jobs and also developer jobs with the corresponding users as such, but not create a new job with those names. Okay.
Sir, this is Manoj.
Yeah.
In real time, who will manage the roles?
Administrator.
Okay.
Definitely, that is what the DevOps person will do, right? Like you being the DevOps will create the corresponding roles and assign that user to the roles.
Okay.
Okay.
Operation. Fine, sir.
That's why, as an administrator, you have access to everything. Here, Deepak is the administrator. That's why he has access to everything, create a new job, update a new job. But being a developer, you should not be able to create a job, right? You should be able to only run the job, which is created by admin. That is why I give only run access to the developer. And also only few types of jobs only developer has to run, not all the jobs. Developer has to run their Java application jobs. The developer will mostly work on Java apps, right? Whereas tester will only has to run the test application. That's why I have restricted. Okay. Is it clear like how to restrict a specific user to specific jobs and everything? If you have any questions, I will try to create another user and I will show it again. Like finally, I will try to create with some sample name, like Manoj is asking this question. Let's create a user like Manoj. So think suppose think Manoj is a developer. He should have access to only development jobs. Create another user Manoj. Same password, same password. Let's log out. See, right now Manoj doesn't have any permissions. That is why he is not able to see anything. His access is denied. Let's try to go back to our admin and try to give him access. So manage Jenkins again, manage and assign roles, then go to manage roles. We have created a role like employee, and also we have given a developer and tester. Right now Manoj is developer, right? So let's assign that. Manage Jenkins, manage and assign roles, and assign a role. Add Manoj over here, and we are giving employee access. And in item role, what Manoj is something like he is a developer, so he should have access to only development jobs, and also he should be having employee access only, so that using employee access he doesn't have access to create a new item and also manage Jenkins or administrator access as such. Let's apply it. Say log out, same Manoj. See, now using the login of Manoj, like I am trying to only access only Java jobs. Here I can add the people. You can see the people, but I cannot manage anything in the Jenkins. Hope it is clear for you people. Shall we go to the next topic?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, try to practice it. And now let's go to the real-time creation of the Jenkins job. Okay, right now we have discussed about most of the futuristic options, like as an administrator, what exactly you need to do, like what are the plugins we have, how to create a user, how to manage roles, what is global security, how to pass a global parameters and everything, and how to manage nodes and everything. And manage nodes we will discuss later as well, like it is not an important thing, like adding a new node. And most of the things we have discussed, and also a few other options have there, like if you want to know the information of how your Jenkins are working, like if you want to get the logging information and everything, we can go to the statistics and go over there. And also if you want to restart your Jenkins, and if you want to connect to the Jenkins using CLI, we can connect using these options. Right now these options are not that mandatory to learn. Whatever I have shown it to you is sufficient for you to have some good insights on the Jenkins as such. So till now we have learned about the administration tasks. Right now let's go to the creation of our first job, new item. So let's try to create a freestyle project, like it is something like a sample job through which we can run anything in our Jenkins. So let's name it as something like my job, and let's try to create a freestyle job as such. Okay, let's try to say okay, and let's go and read what are the different options which we have over here. Okay, the first thing is something like, once we try to create a job, there are multiple options which we will get. Inside that options, we have sub options as well, like what exactly we need to do it over there. The first section is something like a general section. Apart from that, there is an option to manage the source code management. Like if you are configuring any Git or subversion from which we need to build or pull the code, we can configure the source code management here. The third one is something like build triggers. So build triggers are something like how often you want to build your job that you have created. So do you want to build periodically using a cron, or should there be any, like if you are pushing some code to the kit, based on the push, if you want to run, then we need to use poll SCM. Then is there any other remote triggers that you want to add? Like if some script is enabled, if you want to trigger your Jenkins job after the script is enabled, then you need to build this trigger remotely. So there are corresponding options through which you can run a job. And the fourth one is something like build environment. Okay. So what kind of build environment you want? So there are workspaces, right? Like if you are running a job, it will create a workspace with the name of the job. Workspace is something like the code, the place where the code runs. Okay. Suppose if you are running something like my job, it will create a workspace named my job, and all the actions which you have given in the build step will be running in that folder only. That is what a workspace means. So in this build environment, we'll be configuring few things like delete the workspace. Like if you're running the same job multiple times, it will run on the same workspace. Otherwise, if you want to delete the workspace before it starts, we can select this option. And also there are multiple options like timestamps to the console output. So whenever you see the logs of the Jenkins job, if you want to add the timestamps, all these things, there are few options which we can configure as such. We can see it over here. So the next one is something like build options. So whatever the things that you want to perform as part of the jobs will be configured as part of the build options. Like if you are trying to invoke execute shell, here we can perform any of the shell commands, like ls is one of the shell command, echo, rm. All these commands can be written over here, and any of the things can be executed over here. After that, the post build options. So once this corresponding build is done, whatever the post build action you want to do, like whether you want to send a mail to someone, whether we want to send an aggregate like email notification to someone, whether you want to trigger another job, whether you want to run a JUnit report, all these things can be configured over here. These are the options which we have as part of any of the job. Okay. First, now let's try to create a sample job with none of the options enabled, and let's see whether it is running or not. So we have selected the option execute shell, right? Okay, again, we will try. I am discarding, leaving everything. So I'm selecting execute shell. And let's try to say echo. This is my first Jenkins job. Let's see whether we are able to execute it or not. So after that, we have saved the job, right? So if you want to run any of these jobs, the first thing we need to go over here and click on build job, build now. Once we click on build now, let's scroll a bit down and we will see the build history. How many times we have run this job? Let's try to run it again, build now. I have run this job for 2 times, right? So I just want to check what exactly happened inside the job. Like for that, we need to click on this green button. Then it will be showing it to the console output. So in the console output, it will be showing who started that job. User Deepak has started that job and what exactly happened inside that job. So inside that, I had an echo statement written. This is my first Jenkins job. Okay. In this way, we can see what are the things that is happening as part of a job. If something fails also, if you need to come to the logs and see the console output and see what exactly happened inside the job. And if you want to make any changes to the job, we have another option like configure. Let's go to configure. And again, after configure, you will see all these options. Let's try to add a few other things as well as part of this. PWD will show the present working directory. ls-lrth will show all the list of the files. Okay. And let's see what I'm trying to do. Okay. Again, I'm trying to build this job. There is a build history. I ran this job for the third time. And see, we'll be seeing the corresponding changes also. Initially, we have written only the echo statement. This is my first Jenkins job. The next one is something like, it is showing the present working directory. So as I said, every job will be having its build directory, right? So here also, you already know Jenkins is installed in varlib Jenkins. In manage Jenkins, you already remember we saw that. On top of it, there is one more folder that is created whenever you run a job, something like a workspace. For each of the job you created, it will be updated in the workspace folder. The next thing we need to know is something like with the job name, there is a workspace that will be created. Okay. So if you create another job with another name, there is a workspace created with that corresponding job name inside this workspace folder. Okay. And inside this path, there is nothing that is running on there. There are no files that has been created. Let's try to create one file and see whether we are getting anything on the config. Touch is the command to create a file. Touch debug. So touch will create a file named debug.txt. And let's see, whenever we do ls-lrth, we should see that file name. Build now. See, using touch, a file has been created. After that, we did ls-lrth, right? So what happened? A file named debug.txt is created. It will be showing the corresponding file permissions also. Right now, it has only read-write permissions for the user, read for the group, read for the others. I don't think you have already learned these permissions and everything, but whenever we discuss about these permissions as such, we'll be going through that. Right now, these are the permissions which debug.txt has, and also it is having the user has Jenkins and also role as Jenkins only. Because Jenkins only created this file, right? So that is why the user of this file is something like a Jenkins, and also the role is also Jenkins over here. So in this way, we can create a sample freestyle job and perform any of the operations using the execute shell. Suppose if you want to have a parameterized build, how to do that? Let's go to configure and try to have a parameterized build. This is by parameter. So there are multiple types of parameters which we can choose. Like one is something like a Boolean parameter where we can pass true and false. A credential parameter where we can pass any of the credentials. Like suppose if you want to log into DB, then if you want to pass a credentials over there, then you can choose a credential parameter. There is something like a choice parameter. Like you can choose, you can pass couple of choice like dev, test, and product. And using this choice parameter, you can choose any of the choice. Like let's try to create one choice parameter now. Environment. envi or environment. Okay. Our choices are dev, test, product. In this echo, we will try to print that environment also. Echo $environment. Spelling is right over there. Let's apply it, save. So till now we have only got the option like build now only. Now you are seeing an option like build with parameters. Because we have created a parameter, now we are seeing the option like build with parameters. Let's try to build with parameters. As we have given a choice option, like it will give us an option to choose one of the dev, test or prod. Let's try to select a prod. Build. In this echo statement, what it is trying to do, echo, it is replace dollar environment with the prod. In future also, like if you are trying to build a specific job on the production environment, you can choose these kind of parameters and try to build on top of it. Okay. Similarly, there are other parameters which we can choose. Like let's go to another type of parameter. Like string as a parameter, right? DB name. So we can give a default value. Even if you don't give a default value, we can give a description, provide DB name. So in build with parameters, like I got two options. One is something like whether we need to choose what kind of environment we have. Like let's select dev only. Last time we selected prod, right? Now we need to choose the DB name, provide a DB name. What should be a DB name? Like let's give a sample DB name. MongoDB dot MongoDB. Now build. See, inside this, we are correspondingly getting this parameter. In future, if you want to connect to DB and perform any kind of actions in a dev environment, we can choose this kind of parameterized builds, and using those parameters, we can correspondingly connect to a SQL job and try to build it. Okay. So in this way, we can use few of the options which we have over there, and few other options is something like a description. Like it will show the description of a job. This is a sample job. Test my to test. Okay. Apply and save. So basically, like it will show the description of the job. What is the description? What you have written out there. Like if someone comes to your job and see, like if you write the description, they will read out the description, and based on this description, they will understand what you're trying to perform internally. So it is better to write a description over there in any of the jobs you create. And also, right now, if you see, what is my job name? My job, right? Right now we see around 6 builds, right? Like if you don't want to have all these builds running, like there is an option like discard old builds. Maximum to keep is something like last 3 builds only we want to keep it. Apply, save. So now build with parameters. So after applying, you will see only last 3 builds that are being run. It won't show all the options, all the 7 builds or 8 builds which you have created. In this way, there are multiple options which we have. And let's go through the other options which we have. So if I want to disable this project, like if I disable this project, no one can run this project. I can disable this project, and also I can configure Git over there, and also build periodically. Let's try to build this. So did you get an option to learn about cron anywhere?
Yeah, we know
Yes, sir.
like how to schedule a job.
Yeah, then it is quite simple for you. Like similarly, how to schedule a job in Linux, it is also similar over here. Similarly, we can run a job using this star 4. Right now, I'm trying to run this job for every minute. Like after minute, it will try to trigger another job and try to see whether it will run or not. Like we have enabled this option to run this job for every minute. Similarly, you can also enable few other options, like every 5 minutes if you want this job to run, you can do that. So do you really mean every minute? Yeah, right now I want to run this job every minute. Apply, save. So after 5 minutes or something like that, you will be seeing another 5 runs for this job. Right? In this way, we can configure multiple options. And what else we have? Okay. So these are few things, like if you want to add timestamps to the console output, we should enable this. And also if you want to delete the workspace before it starts, like every time it will try to delete that and again try to build that or pull that, create that, what we say, workspace. Like I think this is not the best option right now to do. And if you want to terminate, if your build is stuck for a longer time, we can do that. Like what is the maximum time? We have a global setting also enabled, that is 30 minutes if you remember. Right now, if our job is struck for 3 minutes or more than 3 minutes, the job will be correspondingly terminate using this option. Okay, if you see here, initially it is something like 7 only. Now, basically using that, what we say, periodic run or a scheduler, we have the 8th run also created. In this way, we can schedule a job. So these are the options which you have in a freestyle job. Like, do you have any questions on it till now?
No, sir.
Hope everything
Actually,
looks good.
email ID.
Yeah, tell me.
Email ID not testing, sir.
Which email?
Previous old system composition.
Are you talking with me?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. I'm audible. Tell me.
System configuration email ID not tested, sir. Actually,
Configure.
manage Jenkins.
Okay, let's see where what exactly you're talking. Manage Jenkins.
System configuration.
Where is
System configure.
Okay, I'm saying controllers. Configure.
System configure.
Configure system. Okay. Configure system. Okay. What you are trying to say?
That one email ID. You are showing email ID.
Okay. I got what you are trying to say. Like you want to have the email one to be tested, right?
Okay, sir.
But what I'm trying to say, let's try to find that option. Email. Command F. Email. Okay. Not this. Okay, I understood you want me to show the email configuration, right? Like if something happens, you need to send email to a corresponding thing. So email basically depends upon SMTP server. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if you have any of the SMTP server that is configured within your Azure or AWS or any of the cloud, then you can get the credentials over here and keep it over here. Right now, we don't have any of the credentials for any of the SMTP server, so that we cannot send mail to anyone without those SMTP server. That's why I haven't shown that part to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, maybe, I don't know, like
Yes.
I will check with Praveen, like if you have the SMTP server creation as part of your course or something like that. If that is really there, like definitely I will get those configurations from him and add it over here. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
But you understood, right? Like basically you need, if you want to have some of the things configured, like you need to write it over there. Okay. Like you need to have the server created first, and based on the server only we need to have that created. Okay. And also we haven't discussed about this thing also. Like we have discussed about source code management right now. Like I haven't configured any Git. Like while talking about the pipelines, I will be configuring this Git configuration, everything. Right now, like let's leave this option as it is. Build triggers, we discussed about few things. Like there is one more option like poll SCM. Like poll SCM is something like if you configure Git something on the Git configuration, correspondingly if you push the code to the Git. Okay. So on push, your Jenkins job need to be triggered and pull all the code from the Git and try to build on top of it. Okay, these kind of actions need to be performed over there. For that, what we need to do, we need to perform this poll SCM as an option. It is something like post commit hook. Like something, if something has been committed, then immediately your job will be triggered. In this way, we can trigger a job. Otherwise, if you disable all these options also, we can directly build the job using that build with parameters option also. Okay. And also we understood how to pass a parameters to a corresponding job also. And also we have an option like post build option. So this is a post build actions. So in the post build actions also, what you have done, I will also talk about email notification. So if you have the email configured over there, you can write all the email addresses over here like deepak.harsha524. And also correspondingly whomsoever has to receive email on top of it. Like once you configured all the email settings over there in the system configuration, then we need to give the use the corresponding email server over here and send emails to all these post build actions based on the post build actions. Right now we don't have the email server configured to show it. Like when I will discuss with Praveen, if we have any email server configured, then definitely we will add that email server configuration over here, and after that we'll try to send an email notification to each of the user as such. Okay. Right now these post build actions are not that important for any of these jobs. Like there are other post build options also. Like if you want to invoke the other jobs also, you can perform using post build actions. And also delete the workspace when the job is done, we can do that. And also if you want to publish few HTML reports, like if you are running few JUnits and everything, if you want to publish these JUnits to a corresponding application or something like that, we can perform those kind of things as well over here. Okay. Right now, these are like few of the post build actions that we have to know. But whenever we have email ID or email server configured, definitely we will go through that. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
In build triggers, you have told that we can give poll SCM, right? So in that, if the commit has happened like accidentally or by mistake, it will trigger the build, right?
Exactly.
But if I don't want to, if I don't want that build in this particular job, can I delete that build?
Like if you have selected the options like poll with SCM, definitely whatever you push to the branch will automatically be deployed over here. Like, but if you want to stop the build in the middle, then you can come over here while running. There is an option like stop. That you can do it. Otherwise, if you feel that while pushing you have some issues, like by mistake if you push it, better don't use this option like poll SCM.
Okay.
Disable every option, and after some time come here and try to do build with parameters. So police CM is something like automation that basically like administrators do. Like there are a lot of developers who checks in their code, right? Once the developer check in their code, automatically they need to test their code, whether it is successful or not. That is what we have discussed in the CI/CD initially. So for that, this is the automation part. Using the police CM, once the developer push the code to their version control tool, immediately the Jenkins job will be triggered and it will be running as it is. Even if it fails in the middle, that's okay. Based on that, we will come to know that the development has been failed, and developer will check what exactly has been failed because of his commit and try to rectify it. That is what the main idea of CI/CD, right?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir, you mean to say if we push the code to Git through Git, if we it is going to trigger in Jenkins if we select in a policy. Otherwise,
Policy. Yeah.
In the sense, if you build the project manually or through policy, after building the project, we cannot revert back that project. You cannot revert back that particular build, right? You are me to say.
We can revert back.
Okay.
So there is a multiple options, like what you are trying to build. Like right now, we are only building in the test environment, like the local environment, dev environment. It is not directly going to the production environment, right?
Yes.
So
okay.
First of all, we are building the artifact in the develop environment. Like production environment will be running as it is without any issue, right? So first of all, we will be running in the dev environment. We will be building the artifact and we will be deploying the artifact. If something fails in the middle, it is supposed to fail because you pushed a wrong code, but development production will be running as it is because the development only failed. We are not pushing that artifact to the production.
Okay, okay, sir. But what I am asking is, if you build the project, after building the project, we cannot revert back that build. That's
we can revert it.
Okay.
Based on the strategy which you use. Right now, if you have two jobs, like one job is something like building an artifact, the second job is something like deploying an artifact. So first of all, if you build an artifact, it will build an artifact and it will push it to some repository or something like that, right? While deploying, we can choose what kind of artifact you want to deploy. If you want to choose the current artifact or the older artifact or before one also, based on the parameters which we pass. If you have everything in a single go, at the time we cannot restrict.
Okay, I understand, sir. Yeah,
based on the strategy which we use, it is all depends upon the strategy which we use. If you want to restrict, go with a different strategy. If you don't want to restrict and if you want to test everything which we push, because it is just a local environment, we can have everything in a single CI/CD pipeline.
But you mean to say, if we combine the CI/CD both, and we are going to build a test and we're going to deploy in a single run, so we cannot restrict that build.
Exactly. We cannot restrict.
Otherwise, if we are building in a dev environment only, or we are testing only, we are in the process of testing only.
If you are only building a artifact, like only CI we are doing using this job, we can just only build an artifact. Then we know the name of the artifact, right? Because it will be stored in some repository or something like that. Using that artifact name, we can again trigger a CD job, which will just only deploy it.
Okay. Understood, sir. We are doing only CI here. After building our artifact, we are going to deploy that artifact in a development. In a deployment environment, in a production.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So basically today, I mostly discussed about how to create a sample job and everything, and what are the options which we have with creation of a basic freestyle job. Tomorrow, most probably, like I would be discussing about the pipeline stuff. And there is, like, after discussing about the pipeline stuff and everything, there is one more session, like I just want to integrate everything which you have learned actually, like maybe later on some other day or something like that, not on a continuous session. Like I will teach you like how to integrate something, like how to create all the things using a single pipeline. Like maybe if you have learned about Ansible in your sessions or something like that, in future, like I will integrate the Ansible to the pipeline, and I will let you know what are all the basics which you have.
Yeah, Arsha,
Right
one
now,
second.
yeah.
Arsha, okay, as you said, pipeline, are you teaching like a Groovy scripting over here?
I won't be teaching in detail the Groovy scripting as such. So there are multiple ways we can trigger a pipeline as such. Like the standardized pipelines are also there. There are something like scripted pipeline and
Yeah,
all.
scripted.
Yeah, scripted and declarative pipelines. I will be teaching them on top of the scripted and the standard pipelines, like the declarative pipeline. We can use Groovy based on our requirement. It is not mandatory that we need to use
No,
Groovy.
okay,
Anyway.
fine.
Yeah.
Groovy is all down. Okay, if you that's scripted pipeline, that will be the fine.
Yeah, if you are using scripted pipeline, then only most of the people uses Groovy. Like it is like older way of doing or deploying some jobs. Like still, if you want to learn Groovy as such in detail, like definitely I can teach few basics of the Groovy, but not in detail. Okay.
Okay, got it. So, okay, fine. And as I said, are you providing a note? Because I didn't got notes for the previous class. Why I'm asking is they need to learn, like, for example, okay, let me Chetan. Chetan. Chetan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Darshan, Chetan.
Basically, I'm providing you recordings, right? That's why I haven't provided you anything. Like last time, we only discussed about what are the options which has in the managed Jenkins. It's nothing like. But still, if you want to have some kind of documentation for that, also I can provide.
Documentation, if you provide, that would be helpful, because when they are going to learn, right? For example, if a direct class, how do you create a node, means they know how to create a node, but they don't know verbally how to explain for the interval.
Yeah, correct, exactly.
And
like
how to
I
install
provide.
plugins, and yeah, that's they know. And give me some 10 plugins which are the like probably using the market, and give some definition over there. For example, Blue Web plugin, Open Blue, and Gearman plugin. So what it will do, because we will tell in the interval, okay, these are the plugins that we installed while working on the Jenkins. So if that's what is that, then they need to have some data to explain them.
Sure. So.
Yeah. Also, can you provide me what all things you covered, like some pointers, so that we can continue with the Q&A during the evening class?
Definitely. I will provide the documentation. Like first class, I have provided documentation, right? Similarly, I will provide one more documentation. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and my point was like for Q&A, you just give me the agenda, what all things you had covered, so that based on that, we will be doing Q&A for the folks.
Sure. So apart from this, like apart from the documentation, do we have any questions on the session which we had today?
No, guys, if you have any question, you can ask. So from our end, that's it.
I'm stopping the recording.
And one more thing I